Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror movie trailers.
And today we'll be reviewing the trailer for The Bench, a Scottish film that was released in the US on June 21st of 2024. And this film was written and directed by Sean Wilkie.
The makers of The Bench actually reached out to us to help promote the film, so this episode will be our first indie spotlight PREGUT.
Yeah, and then further looking into this film, it looks like this film was actually filmed 17 years ago, so it seems like it's been quite a labor of love.
That's right. Let's check out that trailer.
Are you guys going camping?
Must have had some great summers up here.
Who would know if a group of kids went camping and didn't come back?
I know this cabin.
Door wasn't locked. It's middle of nowhere, Tommy. Don't even need locks. It's like the mountains.
Aye, because nothing bad ever happened in the middle of the fucking woods.
When I was little, my grandmother used to tell me stories about a family who lived here. And a boy called Chester Oaks. He wasn't quite right. An amateur butcher, and he used to hunt the deer and the boar and then cut them up in his workshop. And every now and then, campers go missing up here. And people say that it's Chester, picking them off to cut up in his workshop.
I like how at the very end of the trailer it says it's going to be released in 2008 and it glitches and goes to 2024.
With a low budget indie horror movie or just a low budget movie in general, they cost money and there's all kinds of other things that could go wrong in the making of the film.
Yeah, so filming it's just one small piece of it. I mean, it's a huge piece, but after you're done filming, you have to do all that post-production stuff.
Definitely a good thing that Sean Wilkie stuck with it. I'm not sure exactly what the backstory is behind the production, but completed the movie 17 years later.
Completed filming 17 years ago and then has just released it this year in the US, at least. I'm not sure when it was released in the UK. Perhaps it came out a bit earlier, but for the US audience, we are just now getting to see this.
That's right.
And it is streaming currently on Tubi and I believe Amazon Prime. That being said, what is going on in this trailer?
We have some people who are going out to the woods to stay in a cabin. Looks like they're going on a little vacation or something.
And it's in that aughts style. We have all that nice aughts haircuts and stylings because it was filmed in the aughts.
Flashback to all of the styles of the aughts
Of
that we
2008.
love so dearly.
Yeah. So it's kind of a period piece. It's going to be a very nostalgic film. So it looks like some friends are in a nice VW camper. They roll up to this cabin in the middle of the woods. Looks like it really is in the middle of nowhere. And the door is not locked. One of the characters, who I believe is played by Sean Wilkie, the writer and director. His character's name is Steve. He seems like the only one who's a little bit hesitant to go inside. They're like, come on, we're in the middle of the woods. What could go wrong? And Steve's like, yeah, because nothing bad ever happened in the middle of the woods.
A little wink, wink, especially to horror fans, because we all know that if you go and stay out in a cabin in the middle of the woods, you are most likely going to be murdered.
Yeah, so don't do it. Or do it, but next to a lot of neighbors. Then one of the female characters, I don't know if it's Alex or Lauren in the film. One of them is telling a kind of ghost story, how, there's this one guy.
Chester Oates, and he's an amateur butcher. A bunch of people are going missing. Is there a connection? And we get the little quote that says like 300,000 people go missing every year in the UK.
Most are never found.
Most are never found.
Yeah. Yeah. So are these 4 to 16s going to be part of that number? Who knows?
But after we get that, then we get a bunch of like scenes of chopping and people being dragged through the woods and people are bloody. I saw an axe.
Quick flashes of people like screaming. I saw chains.
Someone who was being like dragged out of the water or thrown into the water or something like that.
Face planted into the water. And then I saw the red-haired guy in front of a tire.
And what looks to be Chester Oaks in silhouette with sort of like long spindly hair.
Checking out his tools. Which one am I going to use on my new victims? I feel like the trailer did a good job of not giving away too much. We do know that when you are given a cast of 16s, most of them are going to die. And it definitely looked like several of them were in very precarious positions. What does it remind you of?
So on social media, I remember seeing something saying that this is the Scottish Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There does seem to be a lot of chopping in the middle of nowhere, but to bring it a little bit more up to date, it reminds me of the Scottish Hatchet.
Yeah.
And that's why immediately when I heard Chester Oaks, I thought of Victor Crowley.
Definitely reminds me of that sort of slasher movie. There is some sort of killer who's going to terrorize these teenagers, and it looks pretty grisly. So yeah, definitely getting some Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes.
When did Hatchet come out? Hatchet, which was another indie slasher film, came out in 2006, so just a couple years prior. And I think this was kind of the era of maybe like a slasher resurgence. There was this resurgence of the slasher in a more grisly fashion. Hatchet was pretty grisly. I imagine that this one's going to be grisly as well. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, based off the trailer, it looks like the blonde girl who we might have seen in the very beginning is going to die.
Yeah.
And the red-haired strong guy with the axe, maybe he's going to be someone who's like protecting the group. As far as like final people, is it going to be a guy? Is it going to be a girl? Is it going to be a group? Maybe one of the brunette ladies?
One of the brunette ladies? Okay, so I'm thinking in the very first line of the synopsis on IMDb, it says, a breakdown, a kind of an invitation, a cabin with a bloody past. Alex Summers and her newfound friends face a nightmarish reality. So Alex Summers, played by Jennifer Byrne, she's the first billing of the cast list. I'm going to predict that she is the one that's telling the ghost story about Chester. And I would find it very highly coincidental if she's telling this ghost story about Chester and has nothing to do with Chester. So whoever is telling this ghost story about Chester, I think has some sort of involvement with this butcher. So either she's related to this person or she's in cahoots with this person. Basically, it's her. She's orchestrated the slaughter of these 5 other teens.
What's her motive?
Her motive is that she actually doesn't like people that much anyway. I don't know. So if it says in the synopsis that she has found these new friends.
Oh, okay. Actually, that's a big clue there.
Yeah. Why does she have new friends? And why is she going camping with all 5 of them right now? So I'm wondering, like, does she keep having to make new friends every few months to lure them into the woods, into this cabin, and then tells them this ghost story, and then they get butchered? Ooh, but I kind of feel like Steve, played by Sean Wilkie, who's also the writer-director, as we mentioned, he might survive because he seemed like the one naysayer in the beginning that was like, why are we going into this cabin? So that might be his saving grace. So my prediction is that Alex is in cahoots with Chester and Steve might be the final dude.
I think that Steve is going to die first.
Oh, no.
Usually the naysayer. And also, if he's the writer-director, he's busy. He's busy, so he's got to kill off his own character.
You're right. Shoot, that's a good prediction. All right, so Steve's going to get it first.
Yeah. It's usually the voice of reason that goes first, because then all the rest of the characters they open themselves to making a lot of foolish decisions, as we see in these types of movies. I
don't know if it's the voice of reason that goes first. I feel like the voice of reason tends to live pretty long.
Okay.
But I do like your thought, though, because he is the writer-director. He's a busy guy. Does he really want to be the final dude, or does he want to just kill himself off? So we'll see. All the other actors, let's see. We have Jennifer Byrne plays Alex. Matt McClure plays Aiden. Ilaria Nardini plays Lauren. And Sean Wilkie plays Steve. And Chris Somerville plays Tommy. And I apologize apologize if I pronounced anybody's name incorrectly.
It looked like there were some very interesting shots with the handheld camera movements, sort of reminded me of like a Blair Witch style.
I am going to enjoy the early aughts style, seeing that come back. It was filmed in 2008, but we don't know if the editing was completed in 2008. We don't know how long the editing process went on. Is it going to be one of those things where perhaps with movie magic, it was re-edited with more of a 2020s lens rather than a 2008 kind of a lens? If you have all the material there, you could easily change the ending or add something in that perhaps you didn't think of initially in the aughts.
Yeah.
So I think that will be interesting. I'm honestly interested in watching it and researching it a little bit more after and finding out some tidbits.
Yeah. For indie horror movies, it takes a lot to get them made. The process of the movie being made.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that really makes sense.
Well, I think it does take a lot for these indie films to get made and for them to get produced, and even more for them to get out there and in the media.
Exactly.
So let's check out the poster for The Bench. Classic red and black and white poster. Looks like Chester Oaks silhouetted with his axe, the cabin in the distance, and he's looking on, getting ready to attack.
Chester Oaks looks like the killer in this poster. So that leads me to believe that Chester Oaks is a real killer.
Yeah.
And is going to terrorize these teens. I'm not sure if I'm in on the cahoots thing. I think it's just going to be this person is an evil that exists around this area of the woods.
Like they manifested it because they told the ghost story.
Or someone knew about it and they were like, hey, we should get out of here. And they're like, no, it's probably fine.
It's probably just a ghost story. Fine.
Exactly.
So maybe Alex is not in on it.
Well,
with
you never know.
Chester.
That's just my prediction. Your prediction could still be true.
It could be.
What merch are you going to get?
I feel like we had a collection of axes going with our merch for a while and we stopped it. But now we see an actual axe in the poster. So I'm going to go with the classic axe that says bench on it.
All right. I'm going to go with the bench.
A bench.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that was my first thought, but I'm going to go for that axe. I need to beef up my axe collection.
I want a bench that says the bench on it.
Yeah, very literal. Nice for people to know because we might forget. You never know.
So when are you going to see The Bench? Sometime this weekend, within the year? Is it on the back burner, or is the PREGUT all you needed to see?
Because the makers of this film reached out to us and then further finding out that it's been 17 years in the making, that's quite impressive. So I'm going to say within the year, I'm going to try to check this out on Tubi or Amazon Prime.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it is on Tubi. I am curious. Seems like it could be a fun movie. It's always nice to see independent horror being made. It took a long time for Sean Wilkie to finish this film. I will see this within the year.
Just so impressive to have persevered for 17 years. I'm in awe. So that excites me a bit. I am interested in seeing this film within this year. All right. If you like what you've heard today, please subscribe, like, and or give us a rating. Also check out The Bench on Tubi or Amazon Prime. Thank you for watching and or listening. This has been another episode of
Got it.